morning, everybody. I am very excited to bring you this video that's been a year in the making. As some of you may know, one of the things I got really good at during this pandemic was backing Kickstarters. And one of the ones that I backed early on was from a company called Opiongo in Canada. And they had designed this hammock that, instead of being a scoop hammock like we're used to with a traditional hammock, this was a flatbed hammock. And I was very excited about this because I am a stomach and side sleeper, and I thought that that might be better for me than a traditional hammock. So I backed it to get both the tent and the underquilt. And we've talked in previous videos about the importance of an underquilt when you're hammock camping. And this was all great, and then the pandemic hit, and manufacturing and shipping all across the country just got thrown completely out of whack. So we've been patiently waiting and waiting and waiting, and finally, at long last, I have received both my tent and my underquilt, and I'm really excited to set these up and see what they can do. This is kind of one of the steps that really led me to backpack camping, because this was the first time that I started thinking maybe I could go out on the trail. I originally ordered this thinking I would reduce the footprint of my car camping, but I've kind of gone beyond that, and I'm going to be very interested to see if this will work for me for backpack camping as well. So, first things first, let's figure out how to set this baby up. I'm going to apologize in advance for the extra noise on this video. I'm recording this on Easter Sunday, and apparently a local church group is having some kind of a revival off in the distance, so it may get a little noisy. But happy Easter, everybody. I hope you had a great day. It's obviously a beautiful day. If you celebrate the holiday, congratulations. I hope you have a great day. If you don't, I hope you got out and enjoyed the beautiful weather that we're having. But anyway, on to the task at hand. As we talked about previously with hammocks, the first thing you have to worry about is suspension. And this is the suspension for the Ariel A1. We have two different sets of straps. We have a static end, and we have the active end that has roller cams that is going to do the majority of the tightening of this. So I'm going to, each one has a plus sign stitched in at the middle point, and what you do is you're going to wrap this around the tree at about waist height. If the tree is narrow enough, you're going to wrap it around, all the way around, so that the plus sign is facing the opposite tree. If you're using larger trees, you can just bend it around the tree so that the plus side is facing away. But the two trees I have here are going to be fine for doing the full wrap, so that's what I'm going to do. Alright, so this is the hammock slash tent body itself. As you can see, it's not that big. It has rigid poles, and each end has two sets of buckles. The active end has staggered buckles, and the passive end has paired buckles. So we are going to strap this up now. Theoretically, you would have this rolled up, but I'm going to do this the hard way. Like that. You just feed it through. and then back. And you want to leave plenty of slack for adjusting it to the tree. We're going to do the same thing. Now, on this side, we're going to feed it through the first buckle and then back and feed it into the roller cam. Through the first buckle, and the roller cam, I don't know how well you can see this, there's a lever on it. You can push it down, so that opens it up so that the strap goes through really easily and then tightens up. And then I'm going to tighten these up. And now I'm just going to adjust the tension until it's lined up about where I want it. Now I've probably put this a little high, but I'm a little paranoid about the height, so we can play it by ear. And once I have it where I want it, then I'm going to feed it through the bottom loop just to give some extra leverage and just tighten that really tight. So you obviously want to make sure you're doing this on good solid trees, because you don't want to be responsible for pulling a tree over. Look at that. That's nice and firm. And it's going to be a little high to get into. We'll figure it out. All right, so we have the body of the tent set up. Now we got to lift it up. Tent poles, and this is literally the whole thing. It is one crossbar. Oop. That I just dropped a piece on. I don't know where that piece goes. We will find out in a minute. And you can see it has this extra bar across the middle. Alright, now if I wanted to, I could put the tarp on now before I lift the tent, but I want to show you guys what this looks like, then we'll let it down and we'll do the tarp at that point. So I'm going to set it across here, and the first thing I'm going to do is there are these little rings that go on this little ball joint on the end on each side. So I'm going to attach those. And then to lift it, there's a little tab on this end, and I'll show you better on that end, that the ball end on this goes into that metal loop. So I don't know how well you can see it here. See, there's a little loop with a metal grommet in it. And we're just gonna raise this up and put that in that little hole. And there we go. That's it. Alright. Voila. It's 10. Alright. So height obviously makes a big difference. And I have put this way too high. So I'm going to loosen it up, drop it down a little bit, and we'll come back to this. Alright, that's more like it. Probably still maybe a little bit high. I could probably go a little bit lower because I'm really short. But that's looking a lot better. So, okay, let's try it out. Ooh. It's got quite a bit of sag, which isn't necessarily bad. And it feels a little less stable when I move around in it than a regular hammock. And I'm not sure why that would be. Maybe I don't have it tight enough. So. It's very comfortable. And you can see the nice part about it is you can get in and out on either side. So unlike with my Dutchware hammock, I've got to hang it up in the right direction. This I don't have to do that with. It has nice storage pockets up top and in the end. No, I like this. This is pretty good. All right, let's get that tarp on it because this would be great for nice nights if I want to lay in and watch the stars, but we're going to have bad weather, so let's make sure we can get some protection. All right, so this is the tarp, and there's two ways that they suggest you can put it on. You can throw it up over the top, which I could try and do since it's set up, but again, I'm short, so that's going to be embarrassing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay it out flat first and put the tarp down over the top, and then we'll put it back up. Of course, the wind has now picked up, making this much more difficult. Alright, that was probably more of a struggle than it needed to be. I'm gonna have to ask some questions because I don't know that I did that right. So the last thing we have to do for the basic setup is get the tarp staked out. And we're gonna do that with these stakes that have this little hook on it. And I'll show you that in a second. So the tie out for the tarp are half solid cord and half elastic. And what we're going to do is we're going to tie each of these ends to a point on the tarp and then stake it out. And let me show you that. Okay, so the cord end goes through this loop and I'm putting a little half knot in it just to keep it in place. And then the elastic ball goes through this loop up here. Okay, we're going to tie that out. Same thing. All right. Now I'm going to take the hook on the stake and put the solid cord through that, and then I'm going to stretch it out until this knot hits the hook, and that's going to make it self-adjust. Alright, so now no matter how windy it gets, this is going to stay tight. Now I can open this up and roll this back, and that's still going to stay adjusted. So you can see how even though that opened up and gave it more space, it's just the elastic adjusted and kept it lined up. But the nice thing about being on Kickstarter is you don't just get the basics. So I got 2 bonus pieces. Well, one I paid for, the other one was free. I got a gear loft, which is going to hang underneath, and I'll show you that in a second. And then I can put all my stuff under there while I'm in my hammock, and I don't have to worry about it being on the ground or figuring out a way to hang it up. And it'll be protected from the elements. And the other thing I got is an underquilt. Now you guys know from previous videos how important an underquilt is, so I was really happy to pay the extra money for this and get one that specifically fit the aerial, because a regular underquilt isn't going to fit something like this. They aren't designed for it. So let me get those and we'll get those set up. Alright, so this is the gear hammock, and it comes with these 4 straps. And all we're going to do is we're going to loop these around the webbing at all 4 corners. And then we just take this little loop and put it through the ball on each corner. Theoretically, once that's set up, I never have to take that down. Now whenever I take the tent down, I can just leave that attached and put my whatever in there. That's also going to be really helpful when putting up my my underquilt. And let me show you that now. Now you can see, compared to my Dutchware underquilt, this is much bigger. But of course it has to be. This is a much more constrained size, so we have to make it fit what we have. So I'm going to unwrap this and imagine how much fun this will be getting back in the bag. And I'm just going to open it up into the gear loft with the reflective side up. And presumably going in the right direction, which I am not currently doing. All right. Don't go on the ground. There are some really beautiful videos of setting this up on the Opiongo website and a couple of others. This is not one of those videos. So I definitely recommend you go watch those and see how competent people are really good at setting these up. I'm not one of those people yet, but we'll get there. So we have 2 more of those ball and cords. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna put one through this corner and go through under here, grab the opposite corner and loop that through. So if I take this down, you should be able to see now. You can see how that's kind of making a little packet. And I'm also seeing that you need to do this before you put the tarp on. So that's kind of a pain in the butt. All right. Before we go any further, I'm going to take that tarp off. Ready? 1, 2, 3. All right. That's better. Now you can see what I'm doing. So I'm gonna, there's a little hole right here, and I'm gonna put the stem through that. I'm gonna drop this for a second. Pop this out. Gonna bring that whole tab right through. There. So now that's held in place by the tent itself. Right, and I'll hook this back up. And once we've got that done, there's another ball on the side of the underquilt, and we're just gonna put that loop on the cross piece through there. So that's going to make a nice little pocket. We'll do that all the way around. There. Now you can see it's a little saggy, and in warmer weather I might want it like that, but in colder weather I probably want it a little closer so there's not any breeze. So I can just tighten it up using this little stretchy knob right here. All right, there we go. So there we go, nice and cozy. I can still put my stuff in the gear loft underneath, and that's also going to protect the underquilt if I need it. And now I'm ready to put my top quilt on there and settle in for the night. So this is actually very comfortable. It's differently comfortable than the traditional hammock. It doesn't have quite as much give as the traditional hammock. There's plenty of room though. And like I said, there's lots of little hooks or loops to hook gear onto. There's a nice big pocket there on top and the little one down on the end, and I think there's a matching one behind my head. Yeah, it's very cozy. The other nice thing about it is, you know, obviously anywhere you've got two trees or a tree and a post, or they have a demo where they attached it to the roof of the car and a tree. Any place that you can wrap it, you can hang it. But even if you can't find two places to wrap it, you can also set it up on the ground. And that was one of the real appeals about this to me, is the extra flexibility of being able to ground camp as well as hammock camp. A couple of downsides to it. The first one being, you saw me really struggling to get the tarp on it. I'm gonna have to email them and ask a couple of questions, because I think I may not have been doing something right. I'm not sure why the loops that go through the ends aren't staying in place, so I'm gonna have to ask them what I'm doing wrong there. My other big issue with it is the weight and the size. The whole setup complete, the hammock, poles, gear loft, underquilt, tarp, all of it weighs 10 pounds, and that's about 5 pounds heavier than my Dutchware hammock setup. And because the poles in the foot, the head and the foot that give it the frame are fixed, it's hard to fit it in my backpack. I did do a test load on the backpack and it fits, but my roll top will only roll like twice. So getting that in my backpack is going to be a challenge. And you saw the size of the underquilt. The underquilt is huge compared to the other ones, so it takes up a lot of space in my 55-liter pack. I can still fit everything. I did do the full loadout, and everything fits, and I can lift it, I can carry it. So it's just going to be a question of finding out which one I'm more comfortable in and which one I want to be my regular camping kit. Or maybe one is my regular and one is my loaner. Other people might find this more comfortable, and I do intend to experiment with that with my willing victims, Nikki and Deb, when I do a setup of all three types of sleeping arrangements and see which ones they think are more comfortable. Considering neither one of them actually likes camping, I think that'll be a pretty good judge. So that is the Opiongo Aerial A1. I definitely can recommend trying it out. It is available now, I believe, now that they finally have gotten all their pieces in. It's well made. I have no complaints about the quality. I certainly don't mind having waited as long as I did to get it. It's been a fun exercise today. I'm looking forward to trying it out on the trail and seeing how it measures up with the Dutchware, which of course I never actually slept in yet. So we're gonna learn it all in the next month or so. So thanks for coming along, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Take care. Bye. All right, I wanted to do a quick addendum. I just finished packing that up, and that was a struggle. It was really hard, and I got it all done and shoved in the bag, barely fit, and then I realized I hadn't included the suspension straps. And that may be a deal breaker, because I can't imagine what I just went through on a rainy morning trying to get back out on the trail. So I'm going to take it home and repack it and try and figure out a more efficient way of doing this. It may end up that this is my car camping rig, if it's going to take that much effort. But we'll see. I'm going to give it a shot. Give everything a fair shake before I make any decisions. So I'm going to email them about a couple of my questions, and I'll update you as I get any answers.